So guys, now we will see about Schrödinger wave equation. As we know that in quantum mechanical model, we are going to understand electron as a wave. When we consider wave, then it will have its own way of understanding. For example, if number of waves increases in a confined area, that means its energy is increased. I might have given example earlier also. We know in guitar there are strings which are knotted, okay, at particular frequent in particular distance. If a string is knotted between these two, if I apply some force on it by tapping on that, we know that it may create vibration in the form of wave. One possibility is this one. So how many waves, number of waves, if I see here, that is n equal to 1. So this is one half wave, this is another half wave. Normally we know when I say wave, one wave, that means this is one wave. But this is also same thing. You can see one half here and another half here. Similarly, one half here and another half here. So if I apply more force, then what happens? See, you can understand here. So I'm not changing the confined area. So now possibly wave can be like this. So it is going to vibrate like this. You can see this in real also. So now number of waves 2, one wave and another two, another wave, otherwise you can say one wave and another wave. So I can continue like this. One thing we can understand after doing that, it will always make waves in whole number. It will always make waves in whole number. So here you can see number of waves 3. So in a confined area, if I apply force, more and more force, then more number of waves it is going to create. Now applying more force means what? I'm applying more energy. So whatever extra energy or whatever increased amount of energy I'm applying, so that string is sustaining that extra energy by creating more and more waves. That means we can say energy is directly proportional to number of waves per second, that is frequency. So, or we can say directly proportional to wave number. So in this case a defined length is there, so number of waves per unit length is what wave number is. So this is in terms of seconds or this is in terms of length. So both are directly proportional to energy. It means what? If I apply more and more force, so that force nothing but energy I'm applying, so that energy will be sustained in the form of more number of waves. So what if I apply a force, if it creates a fraction number of waves, not in whole numbers, in fractional number of waves, then that means it will not sustain that arbitrary amount or random energy. So what will happen if some random thing happens like this, or let us say situation like this, like this, you can think of this case. In this case what happens? It won't sustain. That means that whatever applied force, it is not stabilized by that waveform. So in this case string will break down. String will break down because it is now it is no more stabilized to take that much of energy. So otherwise I would say that amount of energy cannot be stabilized there. So I'm not saying that more than 3 waves are not possible. More than 3 waves also possible. I am saying that number of waves which are going to form always in whole number. So what does that indicate? It will accept only a fixed amount of energy. Like if I say 2 electron volt here, and here it is 4 electron volt, or it is here it is 6 electron volt, and this may be number somewhere between 4.78 electron volt. So this is not stabilized. That means some fixed amount of energy only got stabilized there. So that's the reason why it is creating whole number of waves. So same thing we are going to understand inside the atom also. Guitar string, here we have to understand wave nature in three-dimensional way, circularly moving but in three-dimensional way, like this. So now definitely it is very difficult to understand, but if you closely look at this, how many waves got created here, you can check that. So from here to here one wave, and from here to here another wave, and from here to here another wave. So number of waves here 3. So like that you can create number of waves traveled. How long distance? This is actually 2 pi angle. So 2 pi angle, and number of waves 3. So here what I will do, instead of using n as a symbol, I will use k as a symbol for number of waves, because we may get confused as n as shell number. Later on it is literally 2, that second shell will have number of waves 2, third shell will have number of waves 3. That is true, but for the time being, to avoid that confusion, I will keep k as a symbol for number of waves. And that is equal to 3. Otherwise we also know number of waves in 2 pi angle. Then I will write 2 pi into number of waves is actually wave number. That wave number I can write as 1 upon lambda also. That means 2 pi lambda becomes number of waves in 2 pi angle. So 1 upon lambda is actually wave number. Of course they are moving in three-dimensional way, but we cannot assume waves in 3 dimension in the first step. In x direction, if I select one direction, in x direction what happens? This becomes 2 pi lambda into x. So 2 pi x upon lambda. Now why I am using this? Schrödinger given wave nature of electron. So for wave nature, for sine wave nature, there is an equation called as psi equal to a sine 2 pi x upon lambda. This is an equation for sine wave going in x direction. So going in x direction, covering 2 pi angle, and 1 upon lambda is the number of waves. So number of waves is 1 upon lambda, where a stands for amplitude. So we know, if I consider this as a baseline, so this is the amplitude, and 2 pi is the distance traveled in x direction, and 1 upon lambda is number of waves. So this is very similar to that of other mathematical graphs. Each graph has its own equation. In mathematics, you know that every graph satisfies one equation. For example, very famous one is for a straight line. We have the formula, this may be or this may be, we have the equation that is y is equal to mx plus c. So this equation holds true for a graph which is having a straight line. Similarly, this is also a mathematical equation for a graph like this, that is for a sine wave. So we are not going to derive that here, but I can tell you how this particular equation holding true in this case. So this is y-axis and this is x-axis. Let me just use some value. Let us say this particular, let's say value as, let's say 5, and definitely this must be also 5, because the depth and the height has to be same. This is what we call as amplitude, and let me call it as 0, and let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like that. So let's see whether this equation is holding true for this. For this problem we have to know the values of sine function. like sine 0 is 0, sine pi is also 0, sine pi by 2 is 1, sine 3 pi by 2 is also is minus 1. So other values also like sine 30, sine 45, sine 60, these values also you can remember, like 1 by 2, 1 by root 2 and root 3 by 2. So let's see, if I take, let us say, this position, if I am talking about this position and this, y as 5 and x as 1. Okay, so let me use this formula, psi is equal to a sine 2 pi x upon lambda, where a is amplitude, amplitude means value of y, this is 5 we have taken, into sine 2 pi into x is 1, so we are talking about this position, and lambda we know it is wavelength. How wavelength is measured? So distance between two crests, or you might have taken two crests or two trough we can take adjacent. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So lambda equal to 4. So 3 to 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So lambda equal to 4. That may be meter, angstrom, it whatever, depending on the magnitude of the wave. So here lambda is 4. Okay. So 5 into sine 2 pi by 4. 5 into sine, so pi by 2. So sine pi by 2 is 1, that is equal to 5. So you can get y as equal to 5 here. So that means when you put the value of x as 1, you are getting y as 5. That is correct. Okay. So now you can cross check that with another equation, like put x equal to 2. Okay, if you put x equal to 2, how much you have to get? Y is equal to 0 you have to get. So let us say y equal to, or psi equal to, a sine, a is 5 into sine 2 pi into x is equal to 2 now, and divide by 4 is the wavelength. So 5 into sine 4 by 2, that is sine pi. So 5 into sine pi is 0. So that is 0. So you are getting, when x equal to 2, you are getting y as 0. So that means again it is holding true. If you keep y is equal to 3, if you keep y is equal to 3, sorry, x is equal to 3, then you will get y as minus 5. When you keep x is equal to 4, then you will get y equal to 0. When you keep x equal to 5, you will get y as 5. That means how graph is changing, it is going in this manner. So that means all sine wave will hold this equation true. So how come we derived this? This is how we got that. So now equation as per Schrodinger's method. So let's see, Schrodinger time independent wave equation. So time independent means you can see in this equation there is no parameter for time. So there is a parameter for position, that means in x direction. There is a parameter for wave nature, there is a parameter for magnitude of wave, that means amplitude, but there is no parameter or there is no symbol for time. So that means this is not, we are going to derive as per time as a function. There is one more equation that is out of our syllabus, that is time dependent. So then time parameter also will be considered in that equation. In this equation we are not considering time. So that's why it is called as time independent wave equation. So to derive this, what I need to do is I need to differentiate. So if I differentiate once with respect to position x, then d psi upon dx is equal to, so we know sine x is cos x, and whatever constant is there, so that will be there. So a is constant, sine x will be 2 pi upon lambda into cos x. So I will differentiate one more time. D square psi upon dx square. So now one more time this cos x will become minus sin x. So a 2 pi lambda is already there, then one more 2 pi lambda will come and cos x will become minus sin x, and whatever constant is there and that we know we have to keep it as constant and it will get differentiated like this. So this is 4 pi square a upon lambda square. Let me keep minus over here, and sin 2 pi x upon lambda. So d square psi upon dx square. Now a sin 2 pi x upon lambda, a sin 2 pi x upon lambda can be substituted as psi. So let me shorten this as minus 4 pi square divided by lambda square. I'll consider it as psi because this much is nothing but psi there. Let me rewrite this in terms of lambda. Lambda square is equal to minus 4 pi square psi divided by d square psi upon dx square. Let me call it as equation number 1. So this is the wave equation, wave nature only. Now let us insert particle nature because we are talking about electron. So electron is both wave as well as particle. So this can be for a particle. Now let us insert particle nature. In this case we have to use lambda is equal to h upon mv. So mass is telling us about the particle nature. If I square both the sides, mv square is equal to h square upon lambda square. Now we also know kinetic energy is equal to half mv square. If I multiply and divide m, then what happens? Divide by 2m. So this is how it will change. I'm multiplying m both the sides. So if I put mv square as this one, then kinetic energy is equal to h square divided by 2m lambda square. Now let me put the value of lambda square of this here. So kinetic energy is equal to h square divided by 2m. Now lambda square is minus 4 pi square psi. Now denominator will go to numerator. So d square psi upon dx square. Let me rearrange this. H square divided by minus 8 pi square m psi into d square psi upon dx square. This is about kinetic energy. Now we know total energy is equal to kinetic energy plus, let us say, potential energy as V. Let me rearrange this as kinetic energy is equal to E minus V. Now kinetic energy we know h square upon 8 pi square m psi into d square psi upon dx square equal to E minus V. So let me take this there. So d square psi upon dx square is equal to minus 8 pi square m psi divided by h square into E minus V. So if I differentiate this, that means partial differentiation with respect to all the three axes. So partial differentiation of this will become del square psi with respect to x square plus del square psi with respect to y square plus del square z with respect to z is what, partial differentiation of this. So that's why the symbol is different. This is d and this is del. So we are partially differentiating with respect to all the three axes. Becomes equal to 8 pi square m phi upon h square into e minus v. I'll take this there. Del square psi upon del x square plus del square y upon del y square plus del square psi upon del z square minus becomes plus 8 pi square m psi upon h square e minus v equal to 0. So this is shortened by writing del square psi plus 8 pi square m psi. M can be taken, psi can be taken that side, equal to 0. So this is what Schrodinger's time independent wave equation, where m stands for mass of electron, E stands for total energy, V is the potential energy. So this is partial differentiation with respect to all the three axes. Further shortened as by saying this del square. Del square is what? Partial differentiation with respect to all the three positions, is actually operation called as Hamiltonian operation. Hamiltonian operation is written like this. Hamiltonian operation is a new thing. It is very similar, like in mathematics we have addition, subtraction and logarithmic calculations, exponents. All these are different processes or different operations in maths. So similarly, Hamiltonian operation is also one type of operation. In briefly, you can understand this like a partial differentiation with respect to all the three axes is Hamiltonian operation. If I substitute that, so then it will become h cap into psi equal to, I'll take this there, so minus 8 pi square m divided by h square into e minus v psi. So if you see this collectively, this is actually a energy term. So I will rewrite this like this: h cap psi equal to e into psi. Here this is called as the shortest form of Schrodinger wave equation. This entire is actually this much energy term. I'm not saying that only E I have taken. This is actually energy term. You will get energy, total energy, potential energy, mass of the electron and other constants also. So in a broader sense or in a funny way, you can understand this as a Milkman equation. So this is very popular. What is this Milkman equation? Here this is an operation, mathematical operation. So in Milkman equation, or in a funny way, we can say this is what milking. So of what? Cow. Milking of cow will give us milk, and that cow will be there, right? So psi is electron. You are operating on electron. Hamiltonian operation. So here there is an Hamiltonian operation on electron giving us energy, and that definitely electron will be there. So energy as a product you are getting. So milking is an operation. Milking on what? Electron. So it is giving us energy as the product, and that electron is there. So psi as a wave function, as an electron if you consider. So conducting an Hamiltonian operation on electron will give us energy equation or energy value. That is how, if you compare with Bohr model, by using kz e square divided by r square is equal to mv square divided by r, as given as energy equation like this, right? So z square upon n square. So this is how we got the energy equation in Bohr model. So in quantum model, this is the equation for energy. Okay, when you do Hamiltonian operation on electron, it will give us energy as the product. Find out wave equations for various orbitals, like 1s, 2s, 2p, okay, 3s, like that. So he finds, in short, he finds the solution for these orbitals. From that only he comes out with 3 quantum numbers, that is principal quantum number, azimuthal quantum number and magnetic quantum number. So remember, Schrodinger's equation derives only 3 quantum numbers, n, l and m, that is principal quantum number, azimuthal quantum number and magnetic quantum number. So spin quantum number is not the part of Schrodinger's wave equation. Sometimes it is asked. So only first three are the part of Schrodinger's wave equation solution. Now here I have listed the solutions or wave equations or the radial component, radial part of wave. When I add multiply angular component, then becomes extremely dangerous. Even now it is very dangerous. But when you add angular part also, then it becomes very lengthy one and becomes very complex, and that is not our syllabus. That's not in our syllabus, so let's leave that. So only we are going to understand the radial component or radial part of that wave equation. So what type of questions are asked here? To be very honest, you no need to mug up this, because these equations will be given in the question itself, except the first one. So first one, the exam authority feels like you should know. All rest will be they will be given in the question. Then what type of questions will be asked? If it is already given in the question, then what will be asked? That's what we will see now. You have to know principal quantum number n equal to 1, azimuthal quantum number L equal to 0, then magnetic quantum number is 0. So that is what we call as 1s orbital. Principal quantum number 2, azimuthal quantum number 0, that means 2s, because m equal to 0, so this is 2s. N equal to 2, L equal to 1, that means 2p, so this is 2p. We know this is also 2p, but there are 3 orbitals. We know magnetic quantum numbers -1, 0, +1. So +1 and -1 are collectively written here, and 0 is written here. Similarly 3, L equal to 0, that is 3s, so this becomes 3s. And this is 3p, and this is also 3p only as I said, p orbital will have 3 magnetic quantum number -1, 0, +1. So +1, -1 are noted here and 0 here. So what is asked in the problem? These equations will be given in the question itself. What question will be asked here? They will be telling us this equation for which orbital. Okay, let us say this equation is given. And we will be asked to say that this equation for which orbital. Now one thing you can clearly see here, if question has this particular denotions like this, you can see here first number tells the principal quantum number, second one tells the azimuthal quantum number, third one is magnetic quantum number. Similarly principal quantum number, azimuthal quantum number, and this one magnetic quantum number. So 2, 1, 0 stands for 2 and 1 stands for p. So we can say that this equation is for 2p, and magnetic quantum number wise you don't need to know because they are talking about the orbital. So this equation for 2p we can say if this particular this 2, 1, 0 or that particular denotation is given, and most of the time that is not given in the question, only this much is given. Here remember this is psi equation as a function of radius, so that's why inside the bracket I have written r. So only this much is given. In that case, how to calculate, how to find out that this equation for what, because I told you not to by-head them. So in that case also we have one trick to remember. So for the time being let me just write this 210. Now what is that? One common thing you can see out of 1s, 2s and 3s. Look at three equations. So this is for 1s, e power minus z r upon a naught. This is for 2s, e power minus z r upon 2a naught. 3s, e power minus z r upon 3a naught. If the question is given, just focus on the power, e power. Okay. So here see this is just 1a naught, that means nothing is present, that means 1. This is 2a naught, this is 3a naught. So that means to find out principal quantum number of that orbital, what you have to do is you just look at this particular part. So this part will help us to find out, okay, which is the principal quantum number of that. If, for example, this is given, if this is given, so find out, see 2a naught indicates that at least we can come to know that they are talking about second shell. Now it is fine for first shell, it is only the equation, but if you go for second shell there are 2s and 2p also. So in that case what we have to do, the second thing, to understand subshell, we know S is spherical in nature and P is dumbbell in nature. When I say dumbbell in nature, they are not present in all the angles. So that's the reason why we have seen nodes for P subshell. Angular nodes we have seen. So spherical is present in all the angles. That's why if you closely look at P subshell, see this is for 2P. You will get some extra angle term in the equation, but that is absent in the case of 2S. So that means if it is for P orbital, then definitely there will be angle term in the wave equation. So you look at 1S, 2S and 3S, there will not be any angle term. Cos theta, sin theta type of stuff is not present in the equation, which is indicating, which is the clear cut finding that whether that equation is for S or for P. So for principal quantum number, I told you, even out of, let us see, n equal to 2, in this case c e power minus z r upon 2a naught. So here also minus z r upon 2a naught minus z r upon 2a naught. So this particular part is there, so that will indicate that that particular belongs to second shell. So here you can see 3a naught, 3a naught, 3a naught. So this is for third shell. So this particular term will tell us principal quantum number, and the angle thing will tell us whether it is P or S. So this is the trick you can remember. Now there is one more way out of P also to find out whether they are talking about m equal to 0 or m equal to plus or minus 1. So there also you can see if it is m equal to 0, then it will be always cos theta. So see, this is m equal to 0 cos theta, here m equal to 0 cos theta. So that of m equal to plus or minus 1 will be sin theta, and this is sin theta e power plus or minus I 5. So sin theta is for m equal to plus or minus 1, m equal to 0, that is cos theta. So this small trick will help you to find out equation, these equations for which particular orbital. So questions will be asked very simply, like they will be giving you equation and they will be asking you to find out this equation belongs to which orbital. So based on the that finding, you can get to know about equation for what. So this is the basic trick you need to remember. But as I told you, you have to remember this particular equation because this is very simple. I think you can remember this. Most of the time this is not given. So these all will be given. This is not given. So you have to remember 1 upon root pi into z upon a naught into 3 by 2 into e power minus zr upon a naught. Now remember where z stands for what? Where z stands for atomic number and r stands for radius and a naught is a constant. This is 0.53 angstrom unit. So that is what the first Bohr orbit of hydrogen, first Bohr orbit. Okay, Bohr's orbit for hydrogen we are knowing. So a naught is having a fixed value, z is atomic number, radius is what we have to calculate for 1s. Matlab, if you solve this problem, so you will get the radius r equal to some value for 1s. If you put the value as, let us say for hydrogen, if you calculate this, you will come to know that r equal to a naught. This you can derive. That means we know for hydrogen, the radius of hydrogen is equal to 0.53 angstrom unit. So you will get r equal to a naught for 1s of hydrogen atom by keeping z equal to 1. You can solve that, then you will get that. Now what else is asked here? The probability. Probability we know, probability distribution we have studied in the earlier lectures, that probability as a function of radius, if you see, that is 4 pi square r square psi square, or this psi square is also sometimes called as r square, we know. So this equation we have to remember for probability. Probability is equal to 4 pi square r square. I think you guys are remembering that small volume we multiply to this density distribution probability density. So psi square is probability density, and if I multiply this, then it becomes probability distribution. So this equation you have to remember, and for this, if they ask, then we have to solve this. We can solve like this: P of r, that is probability as a function of radius, is equal to 4 pi square r square and psi square. So psi square we have to substitute this. told you, you no need to remember other wave equations because that will be given in the problem. But exam authority expects you to remember this first one, wave equation of 1s orbital. That looks very simple also, you can remember that. Now, what type of questions are asked? Sometimes they may ask, what is the probability distribution of 1s orbital? If the question is like that, then you have to use this equation to derive that. Let's see how it can be done. We know probability distribution as a function of radius is equal to 4 pi square. So probability distribution is equal to 4 pi square r square and psi square. If you remember, we had multiplied small volume with the density, probability density, that is psi square. So this is what probability distribution, volume into density will give us probability distribution. So psi square we can multiply here. So let us see how it looks. So 4 pi square r square into psi square is 1 upon root pi into z upon a naught divided by 3 by 2 into e power z r upon a naught. Now I need to square this. So this will be 4 pi square r square into, this will be 1 upon pi simply. So 1 by 2 will go, so z upon a naught power 3. So 1 by 2 is what, removing square root. So e power, this 2 will be multiplied here. So 2 z r upon a naught. So now let us simplify. 1 pi will go here. 4 pi r square z upon a naught cube e power 2z r upon a naught. So this is the probability as a function of radius. So one of the options will be like this. The question can be asked like, what is the probability equation or probability for 1s electron? Then simply you can write this one. If it is not written like that, then psi square has to be substituted with this value and we have to square and we have to get this equation. So there may be one more possible question out of this is relation. They may ask you to calculate the relation between r and a naught at maximum probability. So this will be the condition. So at maximum probability, what is the relation between r and a naught? So we have to know here, z stands for atomic number, r stands for radius of atom, a naught is having a fixed value, that is 0.53 angstrom unit. This is also called as Bohr's first orbit radius. So relation between r and a naught at maximum probability, you have to know the maximum probability condition. Maximum probability condition is differentiation with respect to r must be 0. So dp upon dr must be 0. So if I differentiate this, dp upon dr equal to, let me just list out the constants, 4 pi z upon a cube power 3. This much is constant, I guess, rest is containing r. So we have r square and e power minus 2z r. So there are two terms of r. So first let us differentiate r square. So r square differentiation is 2r while keeping other term constant. So minus 2 zr upon a naught. Now keeping r square constant and differentiating e term, so e term differentiation will be, power will go down as minus 2 zr upon a naught. No, r won't come, so that constant will come down, minus 2z upon a naught. So while keeping other term, e power 2z r upon a naught. So this is how we can differentiate that. Now let me take common term. So dp upon dr must be 0 to satisfy maximum probability. So now this is 4 pi z upon a naught power 3. Here the common term, I guess 2r is common and z is not common. E power 2zr upon a naught is common. So if I take that common, so nothing will be left here. But there 1r has taken common, so 1r left. So this will be minus coming there. So ZR upon A naught. Now to satisfy this condition, what I can do is, one is 4 pi Z upon A naught cube 2RE minus 2ZR upon A naught equal to 0, or I can say 1 minus ZR upon A naught equal to 0. Now look at the first equation here. Z is a non-zero number and A naught is fixed value 0.53. So that means R cannot be 0, because R cannot be 0, because R0 means it is your referring nucleus. So R must have some non-zero value. R, if it is 0, that means you are referring nucleus, which is not possible. So no term over here is possibly 0. That means this equation cannot be 0. I can think of this now. So 1 minus can be written like this. I can say A naught equal to Z into R. Oh, correct? Yeah, A naught equal to Z into R. For hydrogen, Z equal to 1, that means A naught equal to R. That means first radius of the hydrogen atom is actually 0.53 angstrom minute. Problems based on Schrödinger wave equation. After seeing the different types of wave equation, as I told you, no need to by heart these equations. That equation will be given in the problem, except the wave equation of 1s orbital. 1s orbital wave equation you have to by heart, and it was very simple, that you have seen already. So look at this problem. It says that an unknown orbital is having the following equation for the radial component. So you know that only the radial component we have seen there, and its wave function. So identify the type of orbital. See, this type of questions are asked. You are given the wave equation and you are asked to calculate that, identify the type of orbital. Next, number, that is principal quantum number, you have to say, and the location and shape of angular node if it is present there, and number of radial nodes, how many are present, and distance of the radial node, that we have to calculate, and shape of the radial node. If it is present, then we have to say. Now by looking at the equation, as I told you, to get the principal quantum number, this term must be checked. Okay, this will tell us shell number. Okay, shell number. Now you can clearly see that is 3, that means third shell. So this wave equation does not contain angle term. Okay, like theta or phi, sin theta, cos theta is not the part of this equation, does not contain theta or phi angle. Okay, there is no angle term in the equation. We have already seen different various equations there. We find out that how it look like for s orbital, how it look like for p and d, we have seen that. So theta and phi angle does not contain, that means it is s orbital. Okay, if cos theta was there, then it will be p. Okay, that also m equal to 0, and if it is sin theta is there, then p m equal to plus or minus 1. This is what we have studied. So there is no cos theta, no sin theta, that means it is sin s orbital. So this one we got this as 3s orbital. Okay. 3 we got to know from this e power something. Okay, e term, that 3 indicates 3s, 3, and s indicates there is no theta and phi angle term in the equation. Next, justify the number, location and shape of angular node. Now we know s orbital is spherical in nature, so present in all possible theta and phi angle. Okay, so spherical shape means what? Its presence is there in all the angles. Maybe radius wise, length wise it is not present everywhere, but angle wise it is present everywhere. That means s orbital does not contain does not have angular node. So since there is no angular node, we no need to find out how many are present. So how many are present? 0. And location, since they are not present, no need to say the location, no need to say the shape also. So if it was for P or D, then we would have said nodal planes, XY plane, YZ plane, like for P and D. But for S, since there is no angular node, no need to say anything. Number of radial nodes. Radial nodes we can easily understand. If I consider this is X and this is Y, we know first type, okay, S orbital of that type is 1s. 1s is the first spherical shape orbital. Next is 2s and next is 3s. So shape wise definitely spherical in shape, but there are two nodes we are going to get. Okay, nodes are the place where we don't get that electron. For example, 3s electron can't be present at 1s and 2s place, but it is present everywhere over here near the nucleus. Okay, so all this pair you can include except this particular distance. Okay, from nucleus to here, electron is present here, but the electron is not present at this distance. Now 3s electron is present here, but 3s electron is not present at this. Now 3s electron is present here. So that means at this particular distance, okay, from here to here, electron is present, but this distance there is no electron. That is due to 1s orbital. And at this distance again 3s electron is not present. So due to 1s and 2s, you can expect two radial nodes. At length you can find that, okay, there are two places where two radial nodes, one is due to 1s, another is due to 2s, and the shape definitely spherical in nature, because here that node arising because of 1s and 2s orbital. So shape is spherical node because of 1s and 2s we are getting this nodes. Shape of the radial nodes we got number of radial nodes as 2. Now distance of the radial node, that we have to calculate from the equation. So distance is calculated by keeping psi equal to 0. So to calculate distance, that is value of r is how much at psi equal to 0. Now we know one thing we can do, 2 by 3 z 3 a naught power 3 by 2. I'll keep here e power 2 z r upon 3 a naught equal to 0, or bracket term, that is 3 minus 2 z r upon a naught plus 2 z square r square divided by 9 a naught square equal to 0. There are two possible equations. Now this can't be 0. Why? Because z is atomic number. It is a non-zero number. A naught value is 0.53. Now r cannot be 0. Why r cannot be 0? Because if you keep r as 0, that means you are talking about nucleus. So radius 0 means we are talking about nucleus. So z cannot be 0, a naught cannot be 0, and r cannot be 0. That means this whole term cannot be 0. So we cannot say this. Then we have to go for this equation. So let us use the formula r equal to, so you can say this as B and this as A. So 2z upon A naught plus or minus square root of B square, that is 4z square upon A naught square minus 4AC, 4 into 2z square upon 9a naught square. So this square is a part of that. So a naught square, c is 3 divided by 2a. So 2 into 2z square divided by 9a naught square. So this will be 2z upon a naught plus or minus. Here I think we can take common 4z square. 4z square divided by a naught square can be kept common. Now remaining 4z square a naught square, that means nothing is remaining there. 4 3s are 12. So no, 2 3s is 6. So 4 will go there. So 2 into 3, 6 and 9 divided by 4z square divided by 9a naught square. So this will be, this is 1 by 3. So 2z upon a naught plus or minus. So 4z a square can be kept out. So 2z upon a naught. Now square root of 1 minus 1 by 3 divided by 4z square divided by 9a naught square. So this will be equal to, so this can be written as 1 minus 1 upon root 3, okay, and 2z a naught is constant again. So 2z a naught is constant, so 1 plus or minus, so this will be 1 now plus or minus. So before that we have to calculate plus or minus 2z upon a naught. So this will be I can say 3 minus 1 square root of 3 minus 1 divided by 3 divided by 4z square divided by 9 a naught square. So this is 2z upon a naught plus or minus 2z upon a naught. This will become 1 upon root 3. So divide by 4z square upon 9a naught square. So 2z upon a naught is common. So 2z upon a naught into 1 plus or minus 1 upon root 3 divided by 4z. So I can multiply that. Otherwise let me keep here itself. 9a naught. Now one z will cancel, otherwise let me just rearrange that. So 2z upon a naught into 9a naught square divided by 4z square. So when I take up, then it will be reversed. 1 plus or minus 1 upon root 3. So now a naught will cancel. 1 a naught will remain. 1 z will remain. So 2 1 times, 2 2 times. So 9 will remain. 1 a naught will remain. So 2 con 2 z will remain. 9 a naught upon 2 z into 1 plus or minus 1 upon root 3. So if you know the value of z, that is for hydrogen it is 1 and a naught value is fixed 0.53, you can calculate the value now, otherwise you can keep here itself. Final value you can get by putting the value of a naught as 0.53 and z as 1 if it is for hydrogen. Since it is not mentioned, we can keep there itself.